بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. Amma ba'du, my dear brothers and sisters, the most reliable sign of friendship is the pleasure that you get from spending time with your friend. It is true that we have good friends and we may be, due to various circumstances, we don't see them for years and years. And then when you meet them, it is like you had just met them the previous day. But the reason you didn't meet them for all those years was not because you did not want to meet them. It was not in your control. For various reasons beyond your control, you were not able to meet them. So you did not meet them. But when you did come back, it was like you had never left. But what is the underlying message there? The underlying message there is that if I had a choice, if I was the one deciding, then I would never be parted from my friend. We would have been together all those years that we had to be apart, that we were forced to be apart. Now, again, with the caveat and the warning to say that whatever examples that we give in teaching and learning, these are to be understood when the example relates to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's glory and majesty, that it must be understood in the framework and in the background of the glory and majesty of Allah. So here when I'm talking about friendship, I'm not talking about human friendship. I'm talking about a slave's love for his Rabb Jalla Jalaluhu. I just saw somebody sent me a correspondence from somebody else, just as a matter of for me to show me something, and that was a correspondence from somebody who just had a heart attack, and this person is sending a message to their friends or family to say, please pray for me, I don't want to die. I hope God is not calling me to Himself. I don't want to leave my children. Now my point is that is that how somebody who loves Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will speak? This person who I just mentioned is not a Muslim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them to Islam. But I'm saying that if you look at somebody who is a Muslim, somebody about whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. Allah said that the believers, He said, and those who believe are those who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. They love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than, over and above anything and everything else. There is nothing in the earth, on the face of the earth, there is nothing in their lives who they love more than they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I remember once I was sitting in the clinic in America. I was sitting in the waiting room to see a doctor. It was a polyclinic kind of thing, so there were many doctors there, different faculties of medicine. And I can't remember now what it was, but whatever it was, I was sitting there to meet one of the doctors. And I saw an old man who came in there using a walker. And as he passed close by me, I could distinctly smell urine. So obviously, he was incontinent. Involuntarily, he was also passing urine. And he was old, he was bent over, he was pushing his walker. And he went up to the young lady at the counter and he said, I have to see the doctor, it's an emergency. he wanted to meet the dermatologist, the skin specialist. So she said, "Sir, you don't have an appointment. We haven't." She said, "No, no, no, no. It is. I don't have an appointment, but it's, I have to meet him. It's an emergency." So she said, "Sir, what is the emergency?" So he shows her. He was bald. He shows her a discoloration on the scalp, on the top of his head, and he said, "I think this is skin cancer. I just noticed it." Now, Allah knows best, he's an old man, but my point is that I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, so it's skin cancer. So you will die. Why would you want to live? Look at your state in this world. You can't walk straight, you are bent over, you need a walker, you're incontinent, urine is passing. What is the quality of your life anyway? If you look at that, what is the quality of your life? And being America, these were days before Uber and so on and so forth. Maybe he took a taxi, but more than likely he drove himself. So he has to drive himself. He doesn't even have any help to bring him to the hospital. And he says, "I have to see that it's an emergency. I must get it cured. I can't die." What is this? I'm not saying that one needs to have a death wish. Of course not. Islam is not in favor of death wishes or suicidal tendencies. But the desire to meet Allah, Jalla Jalaluhu. Now, how can you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without dying? You can. You can be in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without dying. When we die, inshallah, we will be in His presence. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make that day when we are called to Him, when He calls us to Him, the best day of our lives. But that will come when it comes. In Islam, we cannot hurry it up and we cannot postpone it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. Allah said that when the time comes, it cannot be delayed, it cannot be brought forward. So when it comes, it comes. We can't bring it forward, we can't delay it, so it's not in our control. But I want to meet Allah. How? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we know the Isra al-Mi'raj, where he was called to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in whatever the detail of that meeting was, in keeping with the grace and majesty of Allah. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called something else the Mi'raj of the Mu'min. And you know what that is, right? That is Salah. So how can I meet Allah without dying? Through Salah. The Salah is the tool whereby I am in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu. I am talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala real time, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is listening to me real time. And if Allah wishes, Allah can respond to me real time, and I will know when Allah responds to me, when Allah responds to my Salah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants me that khushu, He grants me that concentration, He grants me that special connection with Him, where there is nobody else except me and my Rabb Jalla Jalaluhu. That is the meaning of closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now we're looking at the qualities of Ibadur Rahman in our class of Akhlaaq of the Ummati, and that is the quality I want to speak about today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned it and He called it, He said, وَالَّذِينَ يَبِيتُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا وَقِيَامًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, who are these people who are al-Ibadur Rahman? Those who spend the night before their Rabb in sajda and qiyam. Who spend the night? Allah is talking about spending the whole night, right? So think about that. Even if you don't spend the whole night, think about how much Allah is showing us a measure. Allah is not saying here you have to necessarily spend the whole night in Salah. Allah is saying that who is the Ibadur Rahman? Who loves Allah more? The one who spends more time in that. The one who spends more time in that. May Allah grant us the ability to do that. Zuhud, which is devotion to Allah, which is physical effort in order to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which includes dhikr, which of course includes Salah. Salah is the essence of it, it's the root of it. All of it includes khilwa, just being alone by yourself. It includes concentration on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reflection, tafakkur, tadabbur, all of these things. And remember, all of these things take time. And when I say take time, they're not things that you do in between WhatsApp messages, in between all the so-called communication gimmicks and social media. It's something that you seclude yourself. You throw away your phone. I mean, put it away, put the phone away, put everything away, and by yourself. Takes time. It takes time. It takes a long time, because anything which requires development, take physical development. It's a easy one to explain. Take physical development. I was watching one of these videos which makes everything look very easy. So there's this guy who's he's just wearing trousers. His top body, torso is completely bare, and literally you can sort of trace every muscle on his body. So it shows the level of his physical fitness and development. And he says 10-minute fat burning routine for the day. And he starts with something, and then he comes to he does a lower plank and a higher plank. So basically he is down flat on his face, on his chest, his body resting on the forearms like this, and then he presses down on one arm and he raises himself up, and he presses down on the other arm and raises himself up. Then he goes down, and then up and up. Just try it. Just try it. If I can find that little clip, I will put it in the description of this video. I am ashamed to say it, but I couldn't do it. I just could not do it. I found that I don't have the strength in my shoulders to push myself up with one hand. That guy is doing it like, he can do it in his sleep. The point is that that's not magic. It's the fact is that here is somebody who has spent hours and hours and hours building his muscles, so that when he has to do a certain thing, he can do that very easily and gracefully. Now, if I want to do that, is it possible for me? Of course it's possible for me. Anything is possible. But is there a shortcut? What he gained in, maybe 2 hours in the gym pumping iron, can I get that in 10 minutes? No, you can't. You cannot. Maybe you can get some benefit. Instead of 2 hours, you don't have 2 hours. Maybe you have 1 hour. But there has to be some kind of relationship in terms of time. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying those who spend the night. Alright, so you can't spend the whole night. But can you get that in 10 minutes? No, you can't get it in 10 minutes. Can I get that in some hurried, recitation of the Quran, whatever I can do, and my mind is also traveling somewhere else. I am here. Please understand, this is not. This dunya is a dunya of kasab. This world is a world of effort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this very clearly. وَأَلَّيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. Allah said, for the human being, there is only what he has worked for, what he will work for. So if we don't want to work, then we cannot get the results. Whatever it is, whether it's academics, whether it is careers, whether it is spirituality and getting close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever it might be, the only way that we are going to get that is by making effort, is by spending time on it. And spending time is not just, totting up the hours. It is thoughtful time. It is the time that we spend with thought. As they say, in terms of thoughtful practice, they say that you get more benefit from hitting 10 balls. In golf, he's talking about golfing. He says you get more benefit by hitting 10 balls thoughtfully than you will get by hitting 100 balls just like that. So you get 10 times the reward. And again, remember, these are not exact numbers. What the message being given here is that if you want benefit, then you must focus on the thing and you must be thoughtful in it. And as I mentioned to you, when I am saying this in the context of Islam and in the context of connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that is the best and the highest context, but it can be anything, absolutely anything at all. Benefit is directly proportional or proportionate to the thoughtful time that you spend in practicing that thing. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the Ibadur Rahman, the special slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are those who spend their time before their Rabb, يَبِزُونَ لِرَبِّهِمْ سُجَّدًا وَقِيَامًا, before their Rabb in sajda and qiyam. I mentioned Isra wal Mi'raj because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called Salah Mi'rajul Mu'min. He said this is the Mi'raj of the Mu'min, that when you are making sujood on the earth, you are not making sajda on the earth, you are making sajda before the throne, before the arsh of Ar-Rahman. This is the meaning of the Mi'raj al-Mu'min. So how can I meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without dying or before I die? Through Salah. And again, I'm not referring here, obviously, as you can, I'm sure you know, I'm not referring to the First Salah. The First Salah is the boundary condition. The First Salah is something that I do to even just prove that I am Muslim. The First Salah is a boundary condition. The First Salah is not something that that it is the most important. Again, this is a difficult thing when we talk about something. You seem to sort of detract in importance from it. That's not the intention. The First Salah, there's nothing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes more than the First Salah at its correct time. So the First Salah is absolutely critical. If you are not praying that, then it means that whether I am still a Muslim or not is a matter of debate. It's a matter of doubt, not debate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah said, and this is Hadith Qudsi, he said, Allah said that the one who prays what I have made fard on him, he prays the 5 fard salah on time, at its correct time. Allah said, it is my responsibility on the day of judgment to forgive this person and enter him into Jannah. So this is the value of fard salah. So we're not detracting from that. What we're saying is that if you want, in addition to that, if you want darajat, if you want closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's what we're looking at here, then we have to do more than that. And that more is the nawafil. And in this particular case, Allah is making special and specific mention of tahajjud. He's talking about praying in the night. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't pray in the day, or that a prayer in the day is less important or less valuable. No, it is equally valuable. The value of the salah comes from its quality, of the nature, quality of that prayer. How well do I pray? So day or night doesn't matter, but night has special meaning because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the night prayer. Allah mentioned this. In Surah Sajda, Allah mentioned it again. تَتَجَافَى جُنُوبُهُمْ عَنِ الْمَضَاجِعِ يَدْعُونَ رَبَّهُمْ خَوْفًا وَطَمَعًا وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ فَلَا تَعْلَمُ نَفْسٌ مَا أُخْفِيَ لَهُم مِّن قُرَّةِ أَعْيُنٍ جَزَاءً بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, these are the people who wake up, who get up from their sides in the night, and they stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala بَيْنَ الْخَوْفِ وَطَمَعٍ, between the fear of the punishment of Allah and hope for His mercy. That is their mental attitude, that is their nature, that is their the orientation, that is what's in their heart. They on the one hand there is the glory and majesty and awe of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On the other hand, there is immense thankfulness to Him. There is love for Him, Jalla Jalaluhu. And that is where the slave is standing between these two things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that Allah likes this so much, that they have given up their sleep and they are standing in the night, that Allah said that if they knew what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept for them in terms of their reward, it would be the coolness of their eyes. So this is the Allah is promising a reward, and Allah is not promising any ordinary reward. Allah is saying this reward is so beautiful, I have kept it hidden, and that when they see it, they will be very, very happy. May Allah make us all among them who will be given this reward that Allah has kept hidden for us. And may Allah enable us to do that which takes us to that spot where we deserve this reward, and we ask Allah to give this reward out of His mercy and grace, not because we deserve it. So, my brothers and sisters, we must make some effort, because even when we are asking for the mercy and grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some effort has to be made. Without any effort, Allah can give and can grant His mercy, and of course Allah grants His mercy. Allah grants His mercy without our effort and despite our wrong effort. But here we are trying to do the best that we can do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, these are the people who stand before Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in sajda and qiyam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves these people. So as I said, the most reliable sign of those who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the amount of time they spend with Allah. And as I said, many different ways: tilawat al-Quran, tafakkur, tadabbur, zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the peak of that, the most beautiful of that, is Salah itself. Now, my brothers and sisters, also think about this, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to call this Qurratul Ain. He used to call Salah the coolness of his eyes. He would say to Sayyidina Bilal, Arihna. He used to say, give us raha, give us relief. As they say, don't think of Salah as a burden, because Allah sent Salah to ease your burden. So Salah is not a burden. Salah is the tool by which your burdens can be eased, where life can be made easier for you. Allah sent this Salah for a purpose, and the purpose is to ease that burden. So don't consider Salah to be a burden. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this Salah. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to call it Qurratu Ain, the coolness of eyes. He used to ask Sayyidina Bilal, give us relief, call the Adhan, because when you go into Salah, all the cares of the world and all the worries and everything else falls off our shoulders. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this feeling, and for us to be able to do this. Salah is also the time when we talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we tell Allah our stories, in dua, we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We tell Allah our stories. We reflect on the Quran that we are reciting in Salah. And remember, in Tahajjud and so on, in the Nawafil, you can even read from the Musaf. You can't read from the Musaf if you're praying behind an Imam, like some people do in Tarawih and all that. That's not permitted. But by yourself, when you're praying, alhamdulillah, no problem. If you're not a Hafiz, you can, and you want to read some other part of the Quran that you've not memorized, so you can read from the Musaf. So read and reflect and think. I don't read the English and so on there, but read the Arabic, and then reflect and think and say, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying? The Quran has layers and layers of meanings. There is the obvious meaning, which is the translation, and then there is the meaning of the meaning. There is the understanding of the meaning. When you say, what does it mean to me? We are not talking translation. We are talking about in the heart, what does it do to me? So if I say, what does your father mean to you? I'm not asking for the translation of the word father. Meaning, what is the value of your father? What emotions are triggered when I say father? So here we are saying that your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what are the emotions that are being triggered? What is it what is it that we are saying? What is it that I'm saying? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. It's not as if, my story, when I tell Allah that this is news to Him. Of course it is not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows it. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes to hear it from us. This is our connection with Him, Jalla Jalaluhu. So we go to Allah and we tell Him our story. And Allah knows our circumstances. He knows our difficulties. He knows our challenges. And there's nobody who shows appreciation more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is this we are asking. And for these, to get over these difficulties, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised His support and a great reward. Now, what more can we ask? See, my brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with great love and with great affection as His most beloved of His creatures. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him with a task which is absolutely mind-boggling when you think about it. Because here is, I teach negotiation skills. I participate and I arbitrate in disputes. I teach conflict resolution and I facilitate conflict resolution workshops and so on and so forth. So I can tell you that the most difficult thing to convince anybody about is ideological things. Absolutely the most difficult thing to convince somebody about is an ideological issue. People can be convinced about many other things, but ideology, very, very difficult. What I believe, I believe. I mean, whether it is logical, illogical, makes no difference. This is something that I believe, something that I love. Just forget ideology to that extent. I mean, in some ways it is ideology, but try to convince someone to vote for a political party other than the one that they normally vote for. Try to get a Republican to vote Democrats and try to, vice versa, Democrat, Republican. Or even better, try to get somebody to change a football club that they follow or they support. And support the opponent of that, right? The opposite side of that, or some other football club. I mean, we can't even do that. You know how difficult that is. How absolutely difficult it is to get people to change their loyalties from one side to another. Imagine here the task being given is to get people to leave what they have been worshipping for literally for centuries, what they were worshipping, what their forefathers were worshipping, and give all that up and worship only one who is their creator, and you are my creator, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Jalla Jalaluhu. How easy is that? Tell me. That is the most difficult task. There is nothing more difficult than that, to get people to change who they worship. And I know that this cannot be forced. Just like you cannot force somebody to change their loyalty from one football club to another, how will you get anybody to change their loyalty from one God to another by force? It is simply not possible. Belief is in the heart. Loyalty is in the heart. You can enforce certain behavior. For example, you can, maybe force someone to say something or to speak about something in a particular way. Take today, for example, the Black Lives Matter protests that are going on in America, and all the force on speaking using using respectful language when you are talking to people. So certain words are completely taboo. You cannot say that word. If you say that word, it's first of all, it is something which is legally, it's an offense. You could get into trouble legally. You could be arrested. Definitely, it's highly, highly offensive, and so on and so forth. So, by force, you can change somebody the way that person expresses himself or herself, right? And so that this person now is, as we even use the term politically correct. So here is a person who is politically correct. But look into their heart if you could. I mean, we can't, but I'll let the person say, in their heart, has that changed? Does that person now have genuine respect for black people? Does that person have genuine respect for black people? For example, in the politically correct language, the word disabled is not supposed to be used, right? So instead of saying disabled, you say differently abled. So here you've got a person who's blind, and you say, oh, no, he's not disabled at all, he's differently abled. My simple question is, would you like to be in that person's place? Would you like to be differently abled? Would you like to become blind and enjoy that different ability? So just because you have changed a word, believe me, unless the attitude changes. What is the meaning of saying attitude changed with regard to differently able? It means that you will give a blind person a job in your company. That's what it means. If you are going to say that blindness is not a disability, and I agree it is not a disability, then what does it mean? It means that when I am hiring a blind person, I will give that blind person a job provided I'm convinced that this blind person can physically do that job. I've got a very good friend of mine who is a partner in one of the big five accounting firms in the world, and he's blind, and he's hugely valued. You don't become a partner for because people are somebody is having pity on you. No, he became a partner because he's capable of that. So blind people are capable of doing any job that any person with eyesight can do. They just use different faculties and they do it differently. Changing hearts is very tough. Now, this is what was given to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And his job was, this was given to him, and his task, the scope of it, was all of humanity till the end of time. Now, this is what is unique about the scope of his work and the scope of any other Nabi. For all the other Anbiya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent them to their people. Inna arsalna Nuhan ila qawmihi. We have sent Nuh alayhi salam to his people. Allah sent Musa alayhi salam to Fir'aun and to take care of his own ummah of Bani Israel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent each person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Hud alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Lut alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Saleh alayhi salam, and so on, to their people to take care. In some cases, Allah knows best, maybe it was only a small town or a village or something. In some cases, it was bigger than that. I don't even know whether any of them was sent to, Musa alayhi salam probably was sent to the biggest of the lot, which was the Bani Israel in Egypt, but that's one country. Whereas Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was sent to the whole world until the end of time. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. All the worlds. And as far as the human beings are concerned, all the rest of the world, Allah knows best what that means and what Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's scope was. But from the human perspective, the scope of work of the Nabi alayhi salam, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is all of mankind until the end of time, because he is the last and final of the messengers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah sent him with this huge and extremely difficult job. And obviously when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends somebody with something, He also empowers them. He also gives them the tools to succeed. Because Allah's purpose of sending somebody is not to see them fail. Allah wants them to succeed. And Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, alhamdulillah, we know that he completely and totally succeeded. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent him with his job and He gave him the tool. And what is the tool? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, stand to pray at night. Ya ayyuhal muzammil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, oh, you wrapped in covers and sleeping, qumil layla illa qalila. Stand up to pray in the night except for a little. Illa qalila, except for a little. Nisfahu aw inqus minhu qalila aw zid alayhi. Half of it or a little less than that or a little more. And recite the Quran in a slow and pleasant style. وَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that we need to connect to Him and we need to draw our spiritual sustenance from that connection if we want to do His work. Now, this applies to everything in life, but most certainly it applies to the work of da'wah. My brothers and sisters, I ask myself, how many people in our da'wah organizations, and this should apply to anything. It's like somebody said, if somebody claims to be serious about something, but they are not praying tahajjud and they are not making dua in tahajjud about that thing, then they are not serious. So this is your claim. The proof of your claim about being serious about something is what? Whether you are praying tahajjud and making dua for it in tahajjud. If you are not doing that, it means you are not serious. Now I'm saying, take it a step further and say, we have organizations, we have dawat, we have da'iyat, we have people who are working in the field of da'wah, in organizations people who are doing the work of dawah individually, how many of them are praying tahajjud? And how many of them are praying, wow, that's a string of Harley Davidsons that is going down the road. My God, there are, I think, what, 15 of them. We say we are in the work of da'wah, of inviting towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we don't pray tahajjud. What does it say about our understanding itself about how to connect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave His Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam this tahajjud, and this came in the first year of revelation. The 5-time First Salah came in the 13th year of revelation. So for 12 years, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba were praying tahajjud regularly. Right? And Allah is the witness for that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the witness for the tahajjud that the Sahaba were praying. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then also advised Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about tahajjud. He said, "Aqimi salata liduluki shamsi ila ghasaqi al-layli wa Qur'an al-fajr. Inna Qur'an al-fajri kana mashhuda. Wa min al-layli fatahajjad bihi nafilatan laka asa an yab'asaka rabbuka maqaman mahmuda." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and establish iqamat salah. So that's the first establishment, is that of the first salah. Allah said, establish a salah from midday till the darkness of the night, which is Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha, and recite Quran in the early dawn, Fajr. Verily the recitation of Quran in the Fajr Salah is ever witnessed. It is attended by the angels. And then in some parts of the night also offer Salah, and with it as an additional Salah, which is Tahajjud. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it may be that your Rabb will raise you to maqamam mahmuda. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. My brothers and sisters, think about this, that is the issue of being alone with the one that you love. And how beautiful it is that we do this. And if we do this with concentration, then what we should also do is to think about the effect of that. And we say, what is the effect of tahajjud in my own life? Now, it is, as I told you, praying without concentration. It is something that is, according to me, something that is supposed to be impossible, because how prayer is zikr, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Aqimi salata li zikri." Allah said, establish the salah for my remembrance, for my zikr. So when I'm in the salah, how can I be ghafil? How can I be thoughtless? How can I? It's like saying I am eating in order to assuage and take care of my hunger, but in the middle of my eating, I am still hungry. How is this possible? Tell me. If you're eating, your hunger has to come down. No matter how hungry you are, the first morsel of food that goes into your belly will bring your hunger down. And you're eating now, and you have been eating for a while, and you say, I'm still hungry. Something is wrong, right? Something is wrong. It means there's something wrong with you. Because if I am in salah, which is to be established for the zikr of Allah, Aqimi salata li zikri, for the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the middle of the salah, I am ghafil. I am somewhere else. I am making mistakes, and then I have to make sujood or sajda sahu or something. Or even if I am not making a mistake which requires sajda sahu, and I know my mind is wandering, I am somewhere else, I don't have khushu, I am worried about this, or I am thinking about that, then how is this salah? What is the quality of this salah? So the issue is not just to get up in the night and pray. That is very, very important. For example, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one beautiful hadith, he said, Allah loves the man who wakes up for tahajjud and wakes up his wife. And he said, Allah loves the woman who wakes up for tahajjud and wakes up her husband. So let us try to be that. Let us try to be people who not only wake up for tahajjud, but also wake up our spouses, our children, and inculcate them. Please don't try to force anybody. Because that's another big problem. If you try to force them, then you just instill in them a dislike for the thing. So don't do that. But targhib, talk to them about the beauty of this, talk to them about the benefit of this, demonstrate for them, your love for that, so that they are drawn towards that. You should be the best example of that. And then, of course, also wake them. Ask them, shall I wake you up? And they say yes. Then okay, then go wake them. Don't wake them 10 times. Wake them once. And if they fall asleep, it's okay. Then next day you tell them, I came to wake you up. Can I do that a little bit more? Be polite, be nice, but make sure that it gets inculcated. The minute they start seeing the benefit of that, you don't have to tell them to do it again. I love this story about Arnold Schwarzenegger. The wonderful stories about the man. But the story I like the best is that he was arrested 2 or 3 times for break and entry. Now you might say, well, is he a thief? No, he's not a thief. He was arrested for breaking and entering into the gym to work out on a Sunday. I mean, these were the days before they were 24-hour gyms. So on a Sunday, the man, he needed to do that. He needed to do his exercise, and since no gym was available, he went into some place, and of course somebody reported it. Now, what does it tell you? It shows that the man sees the benefit in that exercise, that not only does nobody now have to push him, you have to actually try to stop him. If you want him to not to exercise, then you have to use force. You have to arrest the man and do something, because otherwise he's going to even break the law to do his exercise. Now in this case, alhamdulillah, you don't have to break any law to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I remind myself and you, let us be among those ibadur Rahman that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, these are the ones who stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the night in sujood and qiyam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to draw us close to Him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to do that which draws us close to Him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with you, accept all your du'as, and to make all of you people who will pray tahajjud every single day. And if you do that, inshallah, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that when the time comes to meet Him, that He takes you in a state of sujood in tahajjud, inshallah. وصلى الله على نبي الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.